After traveling across many small planets, the little prince continued his journey. There was still one more world to visit. A larger one. More serious than the others. And it was there that something new would begin to take shape. This is the little prince. The sixth planet was much larger than the others. It was inhabited by an old gentleman, seated at a desk, surrounded by large books. He looked up when the little prince arrived. He said, "Here is an explorer." The little prince approached. "What is this place?" he asked. "I am a geographer," said the old man. "I record the seas, the rivers, the mountains, and the deserts." The little prince looked at the books. They were very thick, very serious. He felt, for a moment, that this planet was important. "Where are your explorers?" asked the little prince. The geographer adjusted his glasses. "I do not explore," he said. "I record." The little prince was surprised. "You do not leave your desk." "Certainly not. That would not be proper. We rely on explorers to bring us information. We question them. We verify their accounts. And then we write everything down." The little prince looked around. At the books. At the maps. And he wondered how one could know so much and see so little. "What is an explorer?" asked the little prince. "One who discovers new lands," said the geographer. "And what is ephemeral?" "That which is in danger of disappearing." The little prince felt something shift. "My flower," he said softly. "Is she ephemeral?" "Of course," said the geographer. "She has only 4 thorns to defend herself." The little prince fell silent. For the first time, he understood. She could be lost. The little prince said nothing. But inside, something had changed. He thought of his flower, of her voice, her small complaints, her quiet pride, and her fragility. "I should not have listened to her words," he thought. "I should have watched her. She was so small, and I did not understand." He lowered his head. For the first time, he felt a quiet regret. The little prince looked up. "At your planet," he said, "are there beautiful things?" The geographer considered. "I could not say," he replied. "I do not see them." The little prince was silent. Then he asked, "Where should I go next?" The old man paused, then answered, "You should visit Earth. It has a good reputation." The little prince said nothing. But something in him shifted again. Place larger than all the others. A place unknown. And so, he prepared to go there. when the little prince arrived on Earth. He was surprised. He had expected something vast. Something full of people. But at first, there was nothing. Only sand. Stretching endlessly. In every direction. No houses. No voices. No movement. The sky above him was wide and empty. The wind moved softly across the ground. And the silence felt different from all the others. Not small, but endless. It was then that he noticed something. A small movement in the sand. A thin shape, almost invisible. A snake. It rose slightly and looked at him. "Good evening," said the little prince. "Good evening," replied the snake. Its voice was soft and calm, as though it had always been there. "Where are the peoples?" asked the little prince. "It is a little lonely. In the desert," the snake answered. "It is also lonely among men." The little prince looked at the snake. "You are a strange animal," he said. "So thin. So small." The snake replied softly, "I am more powerful than the finger of a king." The little prince smiled slightly. "You have no legs," he said. "You cannot even travel." The snake was silent for a moment. Then it said, "I can carry you farther than any ship." There was no threat in its voice, only a quiet certainty. The little prince did not fully understand. But he listened. "Anyone I touch," said the snake, "I send back to the earth from which they came." The little prince was silent. He did not move. The wind passed softly through the sand. "But you," the snake continued, "you are pure. You come from a star." The little prince lowered his eyes. He did not answer. "Someday," said the snake, "if you become too sad, I can help you return." There was no fear in its voice, only a quiet promise. After that, the little prince walked across the sand, without a pass, without a destination. The desert stretched endlessly, silent, unchanging. The sun moved slowly above him, and the light shifted from gold to pale white. He walked on, thinking of the planets, of the people he had met, and of his flower, always returning to the same thought. Somewhere, Far away. She was waiting. At last, he came upon a flower. Not like his own. This one was small, with only a few petals, almost hidden in the sand. "Good morning," said the little prince. "Good morning," the flower replied. "Where are the people?" he asked. The flower hesitated. "People," it said softly. "I think there are only a few. They pass by sometimes. But they have no roots. And that makes them restless." After some time, the little prince came upon a mountain. It was the highest he had ever seen. From its peak, he thought he would be able to see everything. All the people, he said to himself. All the lands. He climbed. Slowly. Carefully. And when he reached the top, he called out, "Good morning." "Good morning, good morning, good morning," echoed the mountain. "Who are you?" he asked. "Who are you, who are you, who are you?" came the reply. What a strange planet, he thought. Everything here only repeats what is said. After some time, the little prince came upon a garden. It was filled with roses. Hundreds of them. All in bloom. All alike. The little prince stopped. He looked at them. Carefully. Silently. My flower, he thought, told me she was the only one of her kind. But here, there were so many just like her. He felt something sink inside him. I thought I was rich, he said softly. But I have only one flower. And then, the little prince lay down, in the grass, among the roses. He said nothing. He did not move. The sky above him was wide and pale. The flowers surrounded him, silent, unaware. And slowly, he began to cry. Not loudly, not all at once, but quietly, as though something inside him had come undone. It was then that he heard a voice. Good morning. The little prince looked around, but he saw no one. Good morning, he replied. Here I am, said the voice, under the apple tree. The little prince turned and saw a fox. It was watching him, quietly, without moving closer. Come and play with me, said the little prince. I am so unhappy. I cannot play with you, said the fox. I am not tamed. Not tamed, said the little prince. What does that mean? The fox was silent for a moment. Then it said, It means to establish ties. The little prince did not answer. But he listened. "To me," said the fox, "you are still nothing more than a little boy, just like 100,000 others. And I have no need of you, and you have no need of me. To you, I am only a fox, like 100,000 other foxes. But if you tame me, then we shall need each other. You will be unique in all the world to me, and I shall be unique in all the world to you." The little prince listened, very quietly. "My life is very monotonous," said the fox. "I hunt chickens. Men hunt me. All chickens are alike, and all men are alike. So I grow bored. But if you tame me, my life will be filled with sunlight. I shall know the sound of your steps, different from all the others." And look, the fox pointed to the fields of wheat. "I do not eat bread. Wheat means nothing to me. But your hair is golden. So when I see the wheat, I shall remember you. And the fields will be beautiful." "What must I do?" asked the little prince. "You must be very patient," said the fox. "At first, you will sit a little distance from me. Like this." The fox sat down in the grass. "You will say nothing. Words are a source of misunderstanding. But each day, you may sit a little closer. Better and better. And if you come at the same time each day, I shall begin to feel happy before you arrive. And the time will have meaning." The fox fell silent. Then it said, "Here is my secret. It is very simple. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." The little prince repeated the words softly, "So that I will not forget." The fox continued, "It is the time you have wasted for your rose. That makes your rose so important. And now, you must return to her." The little prince returned to the fox. "I must go now," he said. The fox was quiet. Then it said, I shall cry." "It is your own fault," said the little prince. "I never wished you any harm, but you wanted me to tame you." "Yes," said the fox. "But now you will cry," said the little prince. "Yes," said the fox. "Then it has done you no good at all." "It has done me good," said the fox, "because of the color of the wheat. Go and look again at the roses," said the fox. "You will understand that yours is unique in all the world." The little prince went away and looked again at the garden. "You are not like my rose," he said to them. "You are nothing yet. No one has tamed you. and you have tamed no one." The little prince returned to the fox. "Goodbye," he said. "Goodbye," said the fox. "And now here is my secret. Once more, you become responsible forever for what you have tamed." After that, the little prince walked alone again. The fox was no longer beside him, but something of it remained. In the way he looked at things, in the way he listened. The desert felt different now. Not empty, but full of quiet meaning. The wind passed softly, and the sky stretched above him, wide and clear. He thought of the fox, of the wheat fields, and of his rose. Now, he understood. It was the 8th day since my plane had broken down, and I had listened to the little prince's story. We had no more water, and the desert stretched around us. "Let us go and look for a well," he said quietly. "A well?" I replied. "In the middle of the desert." But he did not answer. He simply began to walk. So I followed him. Through the night. Under the stars. In silence. And somehow, it did not feel impossible. At dawn, we found the well. It was not like the wells of the desert. It was like something from a village. With a pulley, and a bucket, and a rope. As though someone had been there before us. The little prince smiled. "It is beautiful," he said. I pulled the rope. Slowly. The pulley creaked. Softly. Like an old song. And when the bucket rose, the water shone in the morning light. "It is more than water," said the little prince. "It is something we have found, together." The little prince sat beside me. He looked at the water, at the sky, at the quiet morning. Then he said, "Men have forgotten this truth. But you must not forget it. You become responsible for what you have tamed." He paused, very still. Then he added softly, "I am responsible for my flower." I said nothing, but I felt that something was ending. That evening, the little prince spoke again. "You know," he said quietly, "I am going home." I felt a tightening in my chest. "So soon?" I asked. He did not answer at once. He looked toward the horizon, where the sun was setting. "It is very far," he said, "and my body is too heavy." There was a long silence. The desert grew dim, and the first stars appeared. One by one, as though waiting. Later that night, I woke suddenly. Something had stirred me. The desert was silent. The stars were bright. And the little prince was not beside me. I stood up at once and began to walk, calling his name, softly at first, then louder, until I saw him standing alone near a low wall of stone. He was speaking to someone I could not see. "Do not be afraid," the little prince said softly. "It will look as though I am suffering, but it is not true. It is only because this body is too heavy." I could not answer. My throat had closed. "You must not be sad," he said. "When you look at the stars, I shall be living in one of them, and laughing. And so it will be, as if all the stars were laughing." There was a pause. Then, very gently, he stepped forward. The snake moved, quick as a flash. And then, stillness. When day broke, I returned to the place. The sand was pale, the sky was clear, and the desert was silent. I looked for him everywhere, but there was nothing. No sound, no trace. Only the empty space where he had been. It was as though he had simply gone. And yet, the stars above felt different. At night, I look at the sky, at the stars. They are the same as before. And yet, they are not. Because somewhere, on one of them, the little prince is laughing. And when I hear the wind, or the quiet of the night, it feels as though the stars themselves are softly ringing, like distant bells. It is a strange gift to see the sky and hear laughter. And if you should come to this place one day, in the desert, I ask you, do not hurry away. Wait for a while, just beneath the stars. If a little figure appears, with golden hair and a quiet laugh, you will know who it is. If this happens, please, do not leave me in doubt. Write to me and tell me that he has come back. In the end, the little prince does not bring us answers. He brings us something quieter. He shows us that what matters is often invisible. That love is not found, but created. Through time, through attention, through care. He reminds us that to love something is to become responsible for it. And that even when something is gone, it does not disappear. It changes the way we see the world. Perhaps, when we look at the stars tonight, we might hear something. Something soft. Something like laughter. And if we do, we will understand. As the little prince continues his journey, the world becomes quieter, but also deeper. He no longer meets many people, Instead, he begins to understand what truly matters. At first, he believes his rose is unique, because she told him so. But when he sees the garden of roses, that belief breaks. And in that moment, he feels loss. Not because the rose has changed, but because his understanding has. It is the fox who gently reveals the truth. That what makes something unique is not what it is, but the time we give it. The attention, the care, the quiet moments shared. Love, in this story, is not sudden. It is not effortless. It is something that grows. Slowly. Through presence. Through patience. And because of this, it carries a cost. To love something is to risk losing it. To care is to become responsible. And yet, the fox does not regret. Because meaning is not found in avoiding pain, but in choosing what is worth it. In the end, the little prince does not return unchanged. He returns with understanding. That love is not about possession, but about responsibility. And that what we have truly seen with the heart remains with us, even when it is no longer in front of our eyes. And now, the story comes to rest. But perhaps, not to an end. Because somewhere, in the quiet of the night, the stars are still shining. And if you listen closely, you may hear them, softly laughing. So rest now, and let the night carry you gently into your dreams.